Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And as we await Umbra to join us, we have the elusive gamer, aka Jamie Moran. Jamie, good morning or good afternoon, kind sir. How you feeling, man? We got a lot to get into today.
Hey man, happy to be here. Lots of cool games coming out, lots of cool news. Tokyo Game Show just ended where we got a bunch of new news. Forza Horizon set in Japan, finally. you know,
Yes.
which is about bloody time because we've been wanting that for over a decade. It's good times.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there is, I'll put it this way. If you just look, I'm all about that consistency life, right? Like, you can have a string of a couple of good weeks in gaming, you can have a string of a couple of good months, and then one half or the other side of the year, you can have everything just explode and end, and it's usually a disaster in one way or another. One of the things that, as Xbox fans, I think a lot of us have complained about is, you know, Xbox in the past, when they were struggling to get games out from first party on a consistent basis, they would overload one part of the year or another. It would never be a consistent, from January to December kind of situation. And I think 2025 is not only going to go down in one of the best years in Xbox first party history. I think it's going to be one of the best years in Xbox Game Pass history since its launch in 2017. They have been consistent. They have been putting out banger after banger after banger, highly reviewed games. And it started out with the developer direct in January, as it normally does. And at the end of the year, and again, this is just me, spitballing and speculating. There could be a couple of very big announcements at the Game Awards, which of course closes out the year for the shows of 2025. And they have put a real incredible 12-month run together. If it's not their first party, where by the end of the year, I think they're going to have a total of 12 or 13 games in total, ranging from every genre you could possibly like and love. And on top of that, Jamie, they're going to have put together one heck of a year when it comes to bringing content to a service that a lot of people have been poo-pooing for years, and that's Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. And look, I mean, again, I'm not taking anything away from Sony, and I'm not trying to dunk on Nintendo. They're always going to be the companies that we thought that they were. Some are going to be better than others in other years. This is a bit of a down year for PlayStation. Ghost of Yotai is going to come out. It's getting great reviews. People are really enjoying it. And I expect it to do very well for them because it's one of their big first party games of the year. Um, Nintendo is always good in Nintendo. They have a bunch of first party games coming out, including Metroid by the end of the year, which is very exciting. Look, I'll put it this way. Jamie and I were just literally talking, saying that, as great as as gaming has been, and it's not a real world problem, there are too many games and there's just not enough hours in a day to actually be able to enjoy all these games. Most of us are picking a lane, we're staying in that lane, we're beating said game, and we're just moving on to the next thing in our backlog. And for me, like, I'm playing currently Dying Light the Beast, and it's phenomenally good. And one of the issues I have with it is I keep going on these side missions and I'm not focusing on the main mission, and it's just, man, it's all I want to play. But I've been enjoying it. But listen, you know what? While we await Umbra to get in here, Jamie Moran, I want to open up with what was on the thumbnail. And that, of course, is talking about Halo Combat Evolved Remake. Now, we don't have any real screens outside of what you've seen. This was a still image of Master Chief. I mean, folks, look, if you look at the picture, it clearly looks like that is going to be the design of Master Chief. And you got to remember, this is his original armor. I know a lot of people were like, well, how come he doesn't look like Infinite? Because the Infinite armor is different. It's that's just the way it is. This is the original armor. He looks a little puffy, a little, but that's what it looked like back in the days. But Jamie, we got some information that was, look, this is an exciting time for anyone that's a Halo fan. And I say that because we have it confirmed by Halo Studios themselves, Jamie, that there is going to be a big reveal and they're going to get us to see what they've been cooking up for the last couple of years at the Halo Championships happening in Texas later this year. I mean, later, well, yeah, it's later this year. It's more specifically October 24th is when the championships are happening. And look, I mean, we're all waiting for new information in regards to Halo, right? We want to know what's going on. We want to know what they're going to be showing. And apparently, if you read the real in between of what they're saying, they could be showing off not just one project, but multiple projects. And that is crazy interesting because, look, I would have thought for sure it's the Halo Championships, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think they're going to show? They're probably going to show something multiplayer. That makes sense, right? Halo Championships is based on multiplayer. But based on the new information that comes the way of Hazardor Gaming today, they could be showing off multiple projects, at least two, because they said projects with an S. And I know that I'm reading between the lines here, but if they're going to show us what they're doing and all eyes are going to be on these Halo championships, it's a Halo based event. Everyone is going to be looking, thinking, and talking about Halo. Why not show your biggest audience what you've been working on? And I am here for it. I think it's time to get some new information on Halo. I don't know if we're going to get something by end of year multiplayer related. And I do think that whatever we get is probably going to release on PlayStation, on Xbox, on PC. Now, I can't say for Nintendo Switch 2 because from what we understand with Nintendo, they're being real stingy about sending out the kits so people could develop for their console, which is a little weird. But bringing it right back to Halo, I mean, look, we know for sure, Jamie and chat, that next year is going to levy the remake of the OG, the Combat Evolved, what started Halo for many of us. And I don't know if they release that and a new multiplayer in the same year, because again, you're celebrating the 25th anniversary of Halo, Cortana, Master Chief. So why not go big? But who knows? You could get an end of the year announcement, a surprise announcement in the form of a new multiplayer. Maybe it comes out as a beta and they, hey, you play the beta and then we just go next year. Jamie, what are your thoughts on some of the new information that comes out and what they could be potentially showing off at the Halo Championships?
Oh, well, it's been a long time since we've seen a new Halo game. If you're anyone like me, then you don't do multiplayer anymore, and basically, I've had no new Halo content to play since Halo Infinite came out. Because we're originally going to get DLC for that campaign, but that never happened. I'm looking forward to it. I think they might surprise people. They have kind of hinted in the past that there's going to be multiple titles in the works at any given time. Now, what we're going to be shown, yeah, I think it would kind of make sense to be multiplayer centric. But then again, you could think, well, there's going to be a lot of eyes on this Halo Championship, and there's a lot of sponsors there. So, like, wouldn't it make sense to get eyes on the game to maybe show something campaign related? Because that's where we all know Chief from. That's where Halo all started. And, we don't know what the future of Halo is really going to be like, because we live in a space now where most of these multiplayer games did these ongoing live services where there isn't necessarily a sequel. And they just ever grow. And you look at Fortnite, Warzone, Apex, right? Do we think that Halo's going to do this model? Do we think that they're just going to keep one multiplayer round and update it over 5-10 years? We don't know. Um, Now, what we have seen with some of those, leaks and stuff, that it's going to be using two different engines, Unreal Engine 5 and was it the Blam engine or Bloom engine?
I think it's the Blam engine. I think
Yeah,
it's pronounced BLAM if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
the Blam engine, and there's some mentioning of sprint in there, and I just thought that was hilarious because like
I saw that.
it's 2025. I want a sprint in games. Right. I'm gonna pop off about this. Okay, so
Please go ahead, go crazy with it because I have some thoughts.
people might hate me for this, but like, can we bloody get over it? Right? Why is it in Halo people can't deal with sprint? Why? Why? Because if you go back, Bungie said that sprint was originally meant to be in Halo, but they couldn't because of the engine, right? Because the world had to stream in assets, or the world would stream in assets too slow, right? Why is it in 2025 people want to walk around as a super soldier in armor that is as
Thank
slow as
you.
RoboCop, right? Why is Master Chief slow as RoboCop? Why do people want that? Why is it that Master Chief could always run in cutscenes but not in the game? Why is it that Master Chief could always climb into a scorpion tank but couldn't climb ledges while you were playing? Just dumb stuff like that, right? I think it's so like people cried about sprint, about Halo in the Halo fandom for over a decade. Spoiler alert, sprint has been in Halo longer than it hasn't been. Right? That's the truth of it. Right? I want sprint in a Halo game because I don't want to walk everywhere. Right? And you're inflating the game's playtime by having that game. Like, look at that bloody first game when you step out into the Halo ring. Bloody gorgeous, right? And
Yeah.
then you walk 5,000 miles till you get to a water, and then you have to walk some more till you find the rest of the soldiers, and then eventually your water gets blown up, and you have to walk some more. Why? Why do I have to walk everywhere? Why can't I sprint? You tell me that the government spent billions of dollars trying to genetically engineer the perfect superhuman, yet here we are. I have to bloody walk everywhere. Never made any sense. Anyway, just wanted to bring that up. Um, I, and honestly, I want the grapple hook to be back. I love the grapple hook in Halo Infinite. It's a really cool movement system. Apparently they have revamped a bunch of the levels. I hope so, because can you remember the library? That level haunts people
Yeah, it
because
does.
it's monotonous, it's boring, and it's difficult. And it feels like the story doesn't go anywhere. You go to a bottom floor, the flood break out. You have to work your way up and around this huge blocky map because that back then we didn't really have these things called textures. And it was just everyone admits that's a terrible level. Like, why do we have to have that? There's so much you could do in a reboot, and honestly, if I'm being truly honest, really honest, I would prefer that we didn't have a Halo reboot and have a Halo Infinite sequel. Right? Why do we have to go back? Are we completely resetting the Halo timeline now? Is this a Halo remake in a sense of Gears of War Ultimate Edition, where that exists standalone alongside the new games? We don't know. Like, 343 Industries or the Halo Studios, Microsoft, they haven't said this. They haven't said that Halo Infinite was the last game in the story. They haven't said that. So we need to find out a lot of different things when it comes to Halo. A lot of different things. And for me, like, look, like, I think that a lot of people loved Halo Infinite. Like, I couldn't get into the multiplayer, but I don't really play multiplayer in general. So, like, for me, I want to see that story continue. I'm looking forward to the remake, don't get me wrong, but I think Halo is a big enough IP that you could do an ODST too, right? You could do individual stories based on different characters. You could have a story based on book, right? You know, uh anything really. And people can disagree with me, that's perfectly fine. But like, I've been playing Halo since day one on the OG Xbox, right? I want something a bit different. I don't want to play the same game for the rest of my life. You know, So while I will be there for Halo Day One, I think that if we just want to rinse and repeat the same Halo experience over and over and over again, then I mean, look, Halo's never going to be as big as it ever was, right? Because do you know why? A lot of people blame. I'm sorry, I'm ranting, but I have to. Um, a lot of people wonder why is Halo not as big as it used to be, right? And it isn't because of Sprint. It isn't because of Halo Reach or Halo 4. Halo multiplayer isn't as big as it used to be. It's because of one other game, Call of Duty. The barrier to entry to play Call of Duty has always been lower. It's faster, time to kills quicker, and honestly, tactics you don't really have to use them as much as you do in Halo. In Halo, you have to wear down an enemy's shields and then health. In Call of Duty, you can drop shot someone in about 0.5 seconds, right? So like Halo will never be as big as Call of Duty ever again because you have these noobs that only play maybe on their iPad or via the cloud or whatever, and that's how they play their multiplayer games. They zone out and play these. Whereas people that used to play multiplayer back in the day for Halo, you have to use actual tactics. You have to wear down someone's shields. You have to run around corners, get them by surprise. You don't do that in Call of Duty. So like unless unless Halo gets some sort of Call of Duty style centric multiplayer mode, which would literally melt the community online, it will never be as big as Call of Duty ever again. It will never be. Like before, when Halo 3 came out, that was the big multiplayer game on console, right? You had Call of Duty Modern Warfare at the same time, but like that was picking up steam. And then when Modern Warfare 2 came out, game over, right? So Halo's always going to have its community. Halo's always going to have its dedicated players. So if people legitimately think that this is the game that needs to be as big as COD, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. But when it comes to this show in October, I'm expecting some good things. It's been way too long since we've had any Halo news. And look, when did Halo Infinite come out? 2021. That's a long time in between Halo games.
Yeah.
So if it's shown off in October, we probably get it late next year. I think it's going to be really cool. I'm excited. I know I spent about 5 minutes ranting. I had next to no sleep and I need some caffeine. Let's be honest. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think people should be excited as well because it's not often we get Halo news.
Well, first of all, I believe it was Thanaros in the chat said that that he was very happy to have a rant in the morning. So shout out to Thanaros. Listen, here's the thing. I don't really want to go down the deep, dark rabbit hole of Sprint, but I'm going to agree with you. Folks, look, here's the thing. Halo Combat Evolved has seen multiple iterations, right? It was you had your anniversary edition, and it was a little bit of better graphics. As much as some people are still trying to argue this point, I think Jamie is spot on. Okay, he's a super soldier that takes down ginormous spaceships by floating in space with a bomb. Right? He could sprint. He could run. And I think that if Sprint does, you know what I'd love to see happen. I would love a version of Halo Combat Evolved remake to simply just have the ability through a toggle switch to have sprint or not. And what that would ultimately do is satisfy everybody. If you want to walk around like you're walking through molasses as a super soldier, good for you. I want to run everywhere. That's just me because he's a super soldier and he can run. So yes, I agree with you 1,000%. But I want to add some additional context. And I want to shout out Rebs Gaming, which, by the way, I've been talking with. We're going to have him on a couple of times as we get closer. He's going to be doing some more live content for his channel personally, as well as jumping on with us to get into more Halo news as we get closer to the Halo Championships. But I want to give him a shout out. First of all, he did an incredible video that breaks down everything that's currently going on with Halo Studios and all of the rumors that he has been getting, because he's been getting some hot button information regarding what they're doing, and he put it in the video. So that video is currently in the show notes. I would really appreciate if you're a fan of Halo, to go check it out and give him a like, give him a sub even. But I do want to read some of the stuff that he put out for additional context as to what we could expect. So Rebs Gaming on Twitter, it's at Mr. underscore Rebs underscore. He goes on to say this: Halo Studios just announced they will reveal their Halo projects with an S at the Halo World Championship on Friday, October 24th, early afternoon. They also will have a deep dive panel for these projects that we won't want to miss. Hashtag Halo. But here is a quote from it's a presser for Halo Studios. And they go on to say this, ladies and gentlemen. Back in June, we let the community know that we'd be continuing this conversation from last year's Halo World Championship and a new Dawn video and sharing more about what we've been working on. Like last year, we'll be on the main stage to talk about it, but this year, we've also got a, quote, deep dive panel planned for the community stage that you won't want to miss. Both the segment on the main stage and the panel on the community stage will be going down early Friday afternoon on October 24th at the Halo World Championship. Make sure you're there early. You do not want to miss a single second. So he goes on to say in two additional tweets, Halo Studios has made sure to specify that they're working on multiple projects several times since January of 2024. And in the New Dawn Project Foundry video / article, they said that their next step is to talk about them. This is why I keep saying projects. And of course, I will add the Halo Waypoint.com link from Rebs. It goes on to say, this info and additional Halo World Championship info is available for the Final Road to Halo WC blog. And I'll add that as well. Look, I don't know what to expect outside of, it makes sense to bring something multiplayer to the table. Jamie, you said, and I find this very interesting, and I kind of want to, get the chat's thought on this. Right now, there is a battle going on that Halo is not a part of, right? And the battle that is going to be happening in 2025 is going to be between Black Ops 7 and Battlefield 6. And depending on who you talk to, some people are very excited for Battlefield 6. And there's reasons to be excited. One of which is the fact that Vince Zampella has his hands all over this. And every time Vince Zampella touches something, it turns to gold. So I have no doubt in my mind that Battlefield 6 is not only going to be, quote unquote, back for the Battlefield fans, it is going to be a winner. Again, I don't have to go into the history of Vince Zampella. He is obviously a part of the reason why Infinity Ward created what we know today as Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And ever since, his situation with Activision, where he started Respawn Entertainment and obviously Apex Legends and Titanfall, and now all the other things that he's working on over at EA, he's a genius. But there is the Black Ops 7 talk, and I think there are a lot of people that, and again, I'm not going to specifically point to anybody. I've seen the rhetoric, folks. I think there are a lot of people hoping that that Black Ops 7 would fail. I think there's a lot of pressure on the studio, and they even made mention of it in an interview that, yes, even they're worried about having back-to-back Black Ops. Normally it's Black Ops and Modern Warfare and something else, and they go right back to Black Ops. I don't think they've ever done back-to-back. And they did have some concern in that article, which of course I will add to the show notes if you want to read it for yourself. But needless to say, it is going to be a sequel to not only Black Ops 2, which is one of my favorite in the series, but Black Ops 6, which has become one of my favorites. So I'm very excited for it as a Black Ops player. I'm a big fan of Call of Duty. I have been for years, but I play like a lunatic. And of course, we got the beta happening. Enter Halo. Now, Jamie, you said something incredibly interesting. You said that you do not think Halo can be big as Call of Duty. And you might be onto something, but there's an opportunity here. And I think that these games can all live in the same pond or ocean if you want to go bigger, and still have their subset of fans and success. Battlefield is coming out and it's coming off of back to back to back terrible games. You go to Battlefield 1, terrible. Battlefield 5, terrible. Battlefield 2042, terrible. Broken, broken, broken. And this is why Vincent Pella had to get involved. This is why they brought him in. This is why he's running the show. And I have a strong suspicion based on what I've played, what I've seen, it is going to be a winner. Black Ops 7 is going to be fantastic. But enter Halo again. I think that if, the last Halo that most people will remember as being peak, as the kids like to say, is Halo 3. And even though that was my personal favorite Halo multiplayer for years up until Infinite, Infinite is phenomenal. I don't care what anyone says. Is it as popular as some of the other brands? It's not. But I think that if you can launch a Halo and you do one of these broad stroke launches, PS5, Xbox, and PC, and it's what they've been cooking up, I think you could get Halo right back into the mix. And it just goes to show you that, listen, the excitement, ladies and gentlemen, is starting to hit a feverish pitch. People want Halo to return. I want Halo to return. Even though Infinite is phenomenal, I think it's time for a new multiplayer. And I'm not talking about Battle Royale. I think there should be an option to play that if you want. That should be a mode. That should not be everything that Halo multiplayer is going to be, because I think that it's old, it's tired. And yes, I'm sure Apex Legends popular, Warzone popular, some of the other things popular. And Battlefield has a mode like that happening. That's great. I just don't want to see that Halo be the only Halo multiplayer. I think at some point they have to sunset Infinite, and it may upset a lot of people, but I do think that there is room for Halo to be a part of the multiplayer conversation. And again, shout out to Rebs Gaming, who broke the story. I mean, they literally came to him with this information. He did a video, and there were some disingenuous people on the internet taking credit for it when they didn't have the information. That was all thanks to Rebs Gaming. So again, he's going to be joining us a couple of times as we get closer to the Halo Championships, and maybe he'll even have something new to talk about. But
Hey,
yeah,
Boom, can I
yes, sir.
expand on the multiplayer thing quickly?
Please, by all means, go right ahead.
So, by the way, if I sound very ranty to everyone listening, it's currently 5:30 p.m. and I haven't had a cup of tea today. I'm going insane. No caffeine for me. Literally losing my marbles, which is no different to any other day. When it comes to the whole multiplayer thing, like outside of me not playing that stuff anymore, like I don't think Halo can't be popular. I think Halo can be. I think the multiplayer landscape, there's enough room for Halo, Call of Duty, and Battlefield. Like look at Battlefield, right? Battlefield, and like I was huge, mega huge into Battlefield back in the day, mainly with Battlefield 3 and 4. And I adored that game. Absolutely adored Battlefield 3. And there was this massive like I don't want to call it shift, but like there was Battlefield 3 was huge in the popular in the console space when it comes to multiplayer on 360. And there was space back then for Call of Duty, Battlefield, and Halo, the three different kinds of experiences. And like the reason why I say nothing will ever be bigger than Call of Duty, it's not because I'm a Call of Duty fanboy. It's like I don't really care. Like I'm playing the story modes of these games now. You know, like Call of Duty is just easy to pick up and play, right? You point, you shoot, slide, duck, whatever. Oh, my phone's going off. in Halo, like you have to really concentrate on like how to wear down an enemy shields, and that's kind of why it's fun, right? It's very it's really tactical, right? You look at this Battlefield 6 beta, you had a lot of people running around trying to play it like it was Call of Duty, and they were getting absolutely destroyed because you can't play it that way. You have to use cover, you have to be methodical in your movement. So like the Battlefield fans, Battlefield's going to be huge, right? Call of Duty is going to be huge this year. And by the way, you know how you were saying how it is weird for us to have like a Black Ops 2 years in a row. I think the main thing for Call of Duty and this problem that they're going to have going forward, and it's not going to be a problem. It's going to sell like tens of millions every year. But like for like the individual title is because back in the day, listen to me sounding like an old fart, but back in my day, we would get different kinds of Call of Duty games every year. You'd get Modern Warfare. You'd get Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, Black Ops, World War II, Vanguard, right? You'd have these different universe Call of Duty games coming out every year. But now Call of Duty's moved into this like dual sub franchise mode, I'll call it, where it's Black Ops and it's Modern Warfare. And it's Black Ops and it's Modern Warfare. And like we had two Modern Warfares in a row, but like remember, Modern Warfare 2 came out, really popular. Modern Warfare 3 was originally going to be an expansion, but Bobby Kotick decided for it to be a full price game. So we got a 3 hour campaign. And you know, we all saw what happened with that. So, like, you know, now we have Black Ops 7 coming this year. So, Black Ops 7 is a sequel to Black Ops 2. And when we get Black Ops 8, yeah, Black Ops 8 in 2028, that's going to be a sequel to Black Ops 6. Bit confusing. But like, and we're going to have like 2 years, as far as we know right now, we're going to have 2 years of Modern Warfare in a row in 2026 and 2027. So like that's going to be fine. Battlefield's had a string of misses, right? Battlefield 1, it was great when it came out, but within a month of that game releasing, I'm not even kidding, the whole map and every map was filled with snipers, right? Battlefield 5, they ended support way too quickly. The Battle Royale mode didn't exactly do that well. And, you know, Battlefield 2042, well, let's just say we all know what happened there. So, like, Battlefield, they had to get their act together. They had to actually put out a title that people are going to love. And so far, from what we could tell, people are going to bloody love Battlefield 6. Halo, I love Halo. Like, you know, I ramble about Mass Effect every 5 seconds. I love Halo practically as much, but I don't get Halo content to talk about because I don't play multiplayer. And while I do think Halo will be big in the future, I don't think it'll be big as Call of Duty. But then again, it doesn't have to be. It just has to be good. If they get out a good Halo game, which I'm sure they will, they're gonna have success. That's gonna be great. Um, and I think, you know, we're in a place right now where we can have different kinds of Halo experiences. You can have a Halo remake. You can have a Halo Infinite sequel. You can have maybe a third person, you know, a stealth Halo game with a story. Anything really. I just think Halo is a big enough IP that it can stand on its own two legs and do its own thing. But that's just me.
I mean, listen, great points around, and I do think that Halo, even though it is not as big or popular as it was like during the Xbox 360 days, I think that if done correctly, can come back in a big way. I believe that it can be one of those. I mean, look, Halo Infinite, for all of its lack of content, on inception when it first released, it has been a solid moneymaker for Xbox. And I know we don't like to put the business hat on here. We're here to talk about video games and have fun doing it. Ultimately, it has to make money. And I think that it will, because there are people like me who do love Halo, will always love Halo, will always play Halo, and more importantly, will spend money on skins. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. But I think that for me personally, I can't wait to see what Halo Studios has been cooking. I think we're going to be up for a really big surprise. And I really think that we are going to see multiple versions or multiple games at the Halo Championships in late October. I'm here for it. I will tell you that. But Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for the opening salvo topic. And it looks like, and it appears to be that it's just going to be me and Jamie Moran, which is great. Jamie and I will bounce off each other as we normally do. Poor Umbra works midnight. So, obviously, if he overslept or he just fell asleep, that's such his life. The guy works midnights, but we'll get him back maybe. Usually, when he misses the show, he wants to jump back in. So maybe we'll get him for Friday morning. But listen, before we get into the second topic, there were a couple of things that I want to, some housekeeping, if you will. So yesterday we did the seventh annual Boom's Birthday Bash. And so far, we got 6 of the 10 winners. They got their gift cards. Some of them as they have already spent it, which is awesome. I'm looking at you, Sith Lord. But we have 4 winners, and 2 are in the chat right now. So first of all, Smokey, welcome. I saw that you messaged me, and yes, we definitely got to get down. My gamer tag is Mr. BoomStick XL. Let's play some Black Ops 7 beta. You were one of the $25 winners for the Xbox gift card. DM me or email me or message me on Xbox Live. I have the cards sitting right here to my left and ready to go. Skywalker UAV, you, sir, are also one of the $25 winners. Again, same thing. DM me, reach out to me any way you can. If you go to the About page of the YouTube channel, the business email is there, and we will get you your winnings. K/C is also one of the winners, as well as Decado. And Decado, I saw you in the chat, brother. So please, everyone get out, get in touch with us so we can get you your winnings. And congratulations to all the winners, and a big thank you to all of the generosity that continues to come in for these, for the channel, because they allow us to do the big giveaways. And then we did one yesterday, and we'll get those winnings out to the 4 announcees, which I just made: Smokey, Skywalker UAV, KC, and Decado. You're all $25 Xbox gift card winners. And let me just catch up with some of the super chats that have popped up in here, and then we will move on. Topic number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Sith Lord in the chat. He says, Boom, thanks for fueling my need to get NASCAR 2025. Well, congratulations, brother, and always thank you for the support, not only through the super chats, but of course, the promotion that you do on a daily basis. We are incredibly grateful for that. One of the winners yesterday, Night Wolf 3186, drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, do you guys think a third-person Halo would be a fresh, cool shakeup to the franchise? Would it be received well? Interestingly enough, I think that would be damn good. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I'm a purist, ladies and gentlemen, and that probably should be a topic at one point. I listen, folks. I can already hear the squishiness in the tomatoes that you're gonna start throwing at me, and there's gonna be some people that want. First of all, there's people in the chat that want Master Chief retired. Some people want Master Chief killed off. Others don't want Sprint because you're gonna ruin what Halo is. A third-person Halo game? Freaking sign me the F up. Yes, please. And you know something? I think, and this is a deep, dark rabbit hole. I don't want to go down it, but I will say this. What I hope actually happens, because of the shakeup at the studio and the revival of the OG Combat Evolved, I really hope that this is a fresh step for the Halo franchise. And I think that it's been so underutilized in the last 10 years. And again, this is a leadership thing. Again, I don't really want to go into details. I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I think that Halo is such a big franchise and has so many stories to tell. That's just not Chief. There are so many stories that come the way of the books that you can get into that could be, and it doesn't have to be. If you don't want to make Master Chief the mainline Halo a third person, experiment. Make a survival horror Halo. I've already pitched that idea. Halo Studios is probably making it right now. I'm not going to get a piece of credit for my Zeta Halo, escape the labs of Zeta Halo where the flood was made. Again, that could be something like Alien Isolation, but with Halo. How dope would that be? It'd be pretty dope. I think a third person Halo, why not? Shake it up a bit, change it up a bit, do something different. It doesn't have to be a 70-hour, campaign. You can make a 14 to 20-hour campaign showing a different perspective of a different Spartan. It doesn't have to be Master Chief. I love what you're putting down there, Nightwolf. Thank you so much for the generosity, but also the talking point. The Welsh Gamer, holy matrimony. What's going on, dude? How the heck are you? He drops, ladies and gentlemen, a very generous £5 super chat. He says, "Sup, Boom, my brother. If I'm not working, I'd love to jump on for the reaction show or something after the Halo announcement. Exciting stuff." Brother, you just DM me. And this, first of all, if you don't know who the Welsh Gamer is, shame on you. That's number one. He helped me launch the Xbox Factor podcast 150 years ago. And I'm always going to be grateful for what he does, not only for this channel, but what he did for his own channel when he was creating content. So, Welsh, anytime you want to jump in, brother, we're more than happy to have you here. But let's bring up the next topic of discussion. And, interestingly enough, we just had an interview with Phil Spencer. Now, this interview took place, ladies and gentlemen, during the Tokyo Game Show. And he revealed 4 of the most requested revival OG Xbox franchises that could actually come back. Now, of course, I want to give credit where credit is due. And first of all, I want to thank Infinite Umber for dropping this into the DM, because obviously he was up at some point and he put this in here, and I wind up doing a scratch on one of the other topics to talk about this. Now, where does this interview come from? Well, again, it was an interview that was done in Japan while at the Tokyo Game Show, but the story itself, ladies and gentlemen, comes the way of WindowsCentral.com. And of course, it was written by none other than Jez Corden, one half of the Xbox 2 podcast with Randolph the 119. And the title of this article says, Xbox lead Phil Spencer reveals the 4 most requested franchise revivals from fans. Which would you like to see the most? We're going to get into that. But in the write-up, it says, in a new interview, Xbox CEO Phil Spencer talked about Forza Horizon 6 in Japan, the Xbox Ally, and also classic franchises like, this is a good one, folks, Lost Odyssey, one of my most requested revivals. Oh, my God. So before we get into some of the article, Jamie Moran, this is one of those conversations that just make me smile, because he is the CEO of Microsoft Gaming. And I've had an opportunity to meet Phil quite a few times, actually. And every time I've met him, I'm not surprised because of how he conducts himself. He is a gamer. He is, folks, I know people are going to be like booing, or there's going to be some people that are going to write some nasty comments. He's one of us, folks. Yes, he's making a lot of money and he's running Microsoft Gaming. He has a massive position within Microsoft and Xbox. But when you talk to this man, he's a gamer just like us. I know people can't put yourselves in his shoes, but I'm telling you to try. I've met him. He's recognized me. He's come over to me and shook my hand. And every time we talk, or every time we've had a conversation, some of which stay private, some of which I can talk about, he'll ask, what are you playing? Or how'd you like the show? What was your favorite, favorite game at this show, or whatever. And it's, again, the CEO of Microsoft Gaming is having a conversation with me about gaming. So this interview is exciting because you've heard me say this before. Final Fantasy VII is one of my top 5 games of all time for me personally. And the remake, which I cannot wait to finally play on Xbox, is happening at the beginning of next year. There is a demo coming before the end of the year. I think it's slated for December, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be a demo for both the Nintendo Switch 2 and the Xbox. So I'm going to be downloading it and playing it. I'm very excited for that. And when you look back to the Xbox 360 chat and Jamie, one of the games or JRPGs that jump right off the page for me personally is Lost Odyssey. And I have always said, you've heard me say this probably half a dozen times, maybe more. Like you with Mass Effect, I continue to talk about Lost Odyssey. And I said, my God, could you imagine if they were to get Mistwalker to come back and somehow remake Lost Odyssey in the same vein with the same TLC and respect that Final Fantasy VII was remade. And listen, at this point, I don't care where it launches. I just want to play that type of game. But again, that wasn't the only game that Phil mentioned about it being what we as the fans have been asking for. Well, I'm going to go over the list and we're going to bring Jamie Moran in to get his thoughts on potentially Lost Odyssey being one of those revivals, and could we see it? But what other things Phil had to say during this interview. Now, during the interview, he specifically goes on to say that Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey are both not only the most requested, but every time someone comes up to him and he has a conversation about OG 360 JRPGs, these are the two that jump off the page. But those are not the only two. And the other two, I agree with him here. Crimson Skies is a game that came out that would work in today's era, especially if it would be a free-to-play game. Because something about Crimson Skies is it had a single-player campaign, which was kind of like Indiana Jones in the Sky, kind of, right? I loved every second of it, but it also had a multiplayer aspect where you're dogfighting with other players. It was freaking amazing on the original Xbox. Mech Assault was the fourth game that everyone continues to ask about. I even asked Phil about it, and he said to me what he said in this interview. It's kind of tied up a little bit with the IP. Let's see. He says Mech Assault is tied up with the BattleTech IP, which Microsoft doesn't fully own. Making investments into the IP would be tricky, according to Spencer. Microsoft licenses the franchises out to others, notably the BattleTech strategy game from Harebrained, and also Mech Warrior 5 from Piranha. Most likely, Microsoft's legal hasn't fully greenlit the BattleTech IP for further development. So as much as we want, I mean, look, I don't know if it would be possible. I don't need a new one. I know that sounds crazy. Give me Mech Assault 1 and 2 remade. Can they do that? I don't know. If I ever run across Phil again, I will ask that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just give us a remake. The originals were amazing. The same thing with Crimson Sky. The same thing with Lost Odyssey. The same thing with Blue Dragon. Jamie, let's get your thoughts on this, because again, is it breaking news? Is it world-shattering news? No, but I will say the thing for me personally that just makes me smile a little bit more is Phil is listening. These are the 4 most requested games from the community, and he just took the opportunity to make mention of this during this interview. Let's get your thoughts, man.
I mean, well, Lost Odyssey is one of my favorite games of all time. It's my favorite JRPG of all time. I could talk about Lost Odyssey all day. I mean, that game came on 4 discs. That's how big that game was. It was huge, massive game. Like I like the fact that it was actually brought up, because in the past, when Phil Spencer's brought stuff up, it kind of either gets revived or something. If he comes out wearing a t-shirt, something's happening. So like that gives me hope. I mean, the trademark was refiled a couple of years ago for Lost Odyssey.
Yes.
So I mean, I'm hoping like, and you know, I think if you get a sequel out to that or a spiritual successor, I think people would love it because that was a very, I don't want to say grounded, but it was a very gritty and dark um JRPG. That the world, the characters, everything about it was great. Blue Dragon. I don't know how you do Blue Dragon in 2025 because the creator of the art passed away unfortunately, who did Dragon Ball Z.
Yep.
But like the fact that they're being brought up is good because like Microsoft, they have a lot of different first party games in development, and what they really don't have, and it's one of the few genres they don't have in development, and that's JRPGs. They could get some really cool ones out. Um, you mentioned how they could remake Lost Odyssey. I'm a bit funny when it comes to remakes. Like, I think Lost Odyssey is perfect as it is. Like, are they going to remake it into an action game? We don't know. I mean, that would
I don't
probably
know.
sell
It's
more.
interesting.
But we have seen this year with Expedition 33 that clearly people like turn-based games if they give them a go. But seeing those games being mentioned, Mech Assault, I think Mech Assault would be great to come back, but the whole legal stuff, like the fact that these titles are being brought up is a good thing because, you know, Phil Spencer knows every time he mentions a video game, it gets brought up in the news. I mean, we're talking about it right now. So like people clearly pay attention to this stuff. I think that, acknowledging these titles is better than what we could actually hope for because in the past, some executives, they're afraid of mentioning certain games because they don't want any further questions. And Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon and Mech Assault, I'd say, are probably the most titles that he would want to talk about the most, but can't. Like Mistwalker, as far as I know, they aren't doing anything right now. They've brought Fantasia into consoles. So, like, what are they doing now? They're making mobile games still. We don't know. Like, contract them out for a new game. Like, they have endless amounts of money. They could do anything. Um, I think with Mech Assault alone, you could do so much with that universe. We don't have Titanfall anymore, unfortunately. Like you could pull inspiration from from things, but um, I think Microsoft, they need to look back at some of their older titles, some older IP, because like their new titles clearly great. They had a massive hit with Indiana Jones, Forza Horizon 5, all that type of stuff, right? If you look at Nintendo comes out with Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Donkey Kong, Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Donkey Kong.
You're
Sony,
not wrong.
they have some of the. I'm gonna get eggs thrown at me for that, but it's true. But you have Sony, they have some of their older titles they lean on. But with Microsoft, like outside of Halo, they don't particularly have an IP or an older IP that they lean on that much. They kind of looking forward towards new games, which I really like, but I think there's room for older games. I just saw Splinter Cell reply in chat. I wish Microsoft did something with Splinter Cell because Ubisoft isn't.
Maybe
I
they
could,
bought the IP. Remember, they were selling off IP. Supposedly, I mean, you never know.
man, that's the dream, right? I, I know we weren't talking about this, but Microsoft, if they're working with like other studios and stuff, like when Ubisoft starts selling off IP months ago, I put out a post within seconds saying, Microsoft, buy Splinter Cell because Ubisoft isn't doing anything with it, right? I haven't had a Splinter Cell game since 2013, right? Am I this frustrated because I haven't had a cup of tea yet? Possibly, but I'm going to blame Splinter Cell at the minute because we haven't had one since 2013, right? What world are we living in? Microsoft and Splinter Cell go hand in hand. You have those green lights flash on, that's Xbox. Phil Spencer, get on the phone with Ubisoft because I'm sick of waiting. But yeah, Lost Odyssey being brought up, it's one of the few titles that Microsoft they don't really talk about, right? It's a JRPG they technically own. It's not in Game Pass because of some weird like dispute between Mistwalker and Microsoft or something. Like they need to do something with those games. They really do. You can't just have these two amazing IPs there and do nothing with them, right? I'm sure that Miss Walker would be willing to work with Microsoft on a brand new game. And like, look, even if we just get a remaster of Lost Odyssey, and I don't know if you remember, Boom, but like Lost Odyssey's difficulty, it ramps up. Uh, like the first main boss in Lost Odyssey after the tutorial is the hardest in the game. I don't know what they were thinking with that design choice, with the big blue worm. Um,
Oh, dude, I remember that. That was
yeah,
controller breaking
yeah,
difficult.
right.
Like honestly.
I genuinely think I have gaming PTSD over that. Right. I think it's one of the reasons why I don't like difficulty jumps in games because of that boss battle. I had to grind for 20 hours leveling up outside of the small sand area where that worm was so I could get past it, right? I still have nightmares about the bloody thing. But I think you could do so much. Like if they do a remaster, you could have difficulty modes or sliders or something, increased resolution, stuff like that. The fact that they're acknowledging it is a big thing. And Mech Assault with the license stuff. Who knows what they could sort out? But Microsoft looking back at older IP is really important because there's so many different games they can make. Like look at all the Activision IP they own now. You could do anything with that StarCraft universe.
Yep.
Anything. And I keep mentioning this, and I think I was like the first person to mention this when Microsoft bought Activision like two in the morning. I was like, make a third person Gears of War style game set in the StarCraft universe. Boom, money, instant
Yes.
money.
Cash.
So like, there's so much they could do there. Like hell, you could do a single player World of Warcraft universe game. Why not? Right? Microsoft, they should look back at some old IP and bring them back. But Lost Odyssey would be a top for me.
I mean, look, we are in a position as Xbox fans that we're pretty much getting everything that we want, right? And you look back to something like Fable coming back. Fable is going to be utterly brilliant. We've only seen some pieces of it. I think that game is going to be a stunner of a game. Now, one of the disappointments of 2025, at least for me personally, is Perfect Dark. Was I the biggest Joanna Dark fan? No, but I enjoyed the N64 game like everyone did. I really enjoyed the 360 launch game. Sure, was it the greatest? No, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless. That game is not coming out. That game was canceled, and that's a real shame. But when you look back to like what really sets the Xbox 360 apart, especially from its counterparts in the Nintendo, which I think was what was it? Was the Wii One? I think it was. Yeah, it's probably the Wii and the PS3. Listen, they all had great games, but there were certain JRPGs that just jumped right off of the page. Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon, Eternal Sonata. I think somebody said something in here. There was another one that someone had made mention of. That was another old school, incredible JRPG. Lost Odyssey would be, for me personally, the top of the picks. I mean, of course, I'd love to see Crimson Skies, come back. I'd love to see Mech Assault 1 and 2 remade, even in the isometric view that it was. That's enough for me. That's good. Just remake it, give it modern graphics, modern controls. I'm in. You take my money. But Lost Odyssey for me is the one. And I really do think that it being mentioned now during this interview while in Japan, I'm not saying that, if you keep digging, you're going to find a clue. I'm just saying that every time Phil Spencer talks, and you said it, Jamie, whether he's wearing a shirt or talking about a game in Pacific, in a specific region, he's not doing it for just for shits and giggles. He's doing it for a bit. He likes to tease a bit. Hey, what's on my shelf this month, right? He hasn't been in his office and getting interviewed in front of that shelf in a long time. So maybe this is his on the shelf moment. He mentions these four games and specifically starts off with Lost Odyssey. I'd love to see Miss Walker come back. I'd love to see Microsoft team up with them. And again, if we're just gonna follow some breadcrumbs, folks, let me just put some down. They showed up and showed out at the Tokyo Game Show, right? They make one of the biggest announcements of the year in Forza Horizon 6 being in Japan, and they go to Tokyo Game Show to announce it. And if you read into the article from Jez, the ROG Ally X and S were on not only display in a big way, but advertised like crazy while in Tokyo at the game at the Tokyo Game Show. If you could, first of all, I think you're going to get people to potentially buy the in that region of the world. They're mobile gamers, they're handheld gamers. Yes. Do they have a console space? Yes. Is there a console scene? Yeah, sure there is. Is it as big as it used to be? No, it is not. And this is going to be an Xbox in your hand. They're already getting people through the door because of why? Forza Horizon 6 in their region. It's going to be a big deal. If you can get a Lost Odyssey out in Japan, I think there's a plan here, folks. I don't know specifics, but I think ultimately when you just kind of just take a step back and look at the wider picture, there's something going on, and I cannot wait to be a part of that. I hope Lost Odyssey does come back in a big way, but let me just make sure that we are caught up to date on the super chats, and of course we currently are. I want to move on now. This topic of discussion is an interesting one, and I really want to get the chat involved in this. And Jamie, we're going to be talking about Xbox Play Anywhere. Now, this I had thought about for a while, and I wanted to have this conversation. And there are other conversations to have, but I think that when you consistently see games that not only are coming from Xbox first party, games like, for instance, and this announcement came today of Hogwarts. Hogwarts has become a Play Anywhere game. And if you own a copy of Hogwarts on your Xbox, you can download the Play Anywhere title of its PC counterpart on your ROG for free. And one of the conversations that I see happening with the community is, as consumers, and we should consider any conversation you're going to have about gaming, yes, be a fan. Rah rah your team. I don't care what team that is, but be a consumer first and look at the picture of who's giving you the most for your money. That's how we should look at things. And right now, Xbox is the company of all three that are giving you more bang for your buck than ever before. And one of the conversations, Jamie, happening in the community is most Xbox gamers want Microsoft and Xbox to continue this trend of every time a game is announced, whether it be first party, indie, second party, or third party deals, you see the tagline Xbox Play Anywhere. And that is happening more times than not. And again, breaking story, not that it's gonna people are gonna run out to buy any more of it, but Hogwarts is an incredible game. They have a sequel coming out, and the game came out a while ago, and it has now been added to the Play Anywhere list, along with hundreds of other games. More games come out, the more of these companies jump on board. It's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for the company, it's a win for Xbox, and more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, it's a win for us, the community, the consumer who buys these games. And now that they have a handheld coming out in two forms on the 16th of October, now it's going to get serious. And we know that all of the Xbox first party games that not only get into Xbox Game Pass upon launch, which October, you have 3 games. You got the Lighthouse game, right? You have Ninja Gaiden 4, and you also have the Outer Worlds 2. 3 massive games, all different genres, all different sizes, all in Game Pass, all Xbox Play Anywhere. Just so happen to be launching two handhelds in an S and X version. Folks, I don't know about you. I'm super excited for the remainder of the year. But Jamie, I want to talk about this because you have been banging the drum not only on social media about Xbox Play Anywhere, on your own channel, where you and Logan are going to be later this evening. We're going to get into that when we get out of here in a couple of minutes. But I want to get your thoughts on on the importance of Xbox Play Anywhere for the consumers, for the Xbox consumers.
I mean, I think, by the way, for people that haven't played Hogwarts Legacy yet, great game. Damn good game. I mean, Microsoft's been growing Xbox Play Anywhere since 2016. And a lot of people always thought, like, why are they doing this? Like not everyone games on their PC and their console, at the same time. And like when the Steam Deck came out, it kind of opened up the doors to all these different devices. Because if you go back 6-7 years ago, and if you ask anyone who's making handhelds, they wouldn't say anyone other than Nintendo, right?
Yep.
Now, all these other PC handhelds are coming up and they're doing really well. It's because, look, if you were a PC gamer and you wanted to game on the go, you had one option, right? You had to buy an overpriced gaming laptop, right? Those things are way expensive. And like the Steam Deck introduced a fair priced handheld solution for PC gamers. Well, with Microsoft and Sony, now they're looking at these, PC handhelds thinking, wait, people do want to buy handhelds that aren't made by Nintendo. And if you look at the price of the ROG Xbox Ally, people are clearly like, look, it's not a cheap device, but what you're buying is a portable PC that could do everything. And if you play a lot of first party Xbox games and you play a lot of games that are in Game Pass, the majority of those are in Play Anywhere. You can play them on the go. You own it on one device, you own it on both, and you could have a library ready to go. Granted, all of your Xbox 360, Xbox One, and Series games, they aren't all going to be there, but I 100% believe that they are using this ROG Xbox Ally as a test bed for a first party device. I've been saying this for the longest time. I think next gen you're going to get the home console and you're going to get a handheld, first party home console handheld. But that's a story for another day. The big won't play anywhere. It's hundreds of titles at the minute. And more developers are signing up for the service. More titles are going back and adding it as a feature, which is great. Like it's a really cool pro consumer feature. You shouldn't have to buy a game twice, so it's a cool option. And you look at the growing markets as well. Like people joke that Microsoft isn't selling in Japan, but they are trying in the handheld space right now. And people are gaming on the go via cloud. People are gaming on the go via native consoles or PCs. Right? I think Microsoft they actually see some growth in these sectors that they want to continue to grow. And if you get your huge library or a large majority of your library Play Anywhere, right? Because it's all licensed stuff at the end of the day. These companies they have to agree to it, and the licenses for multiple different devices, and boom, it's done, right? I think that Microsoft realized this. They are pushing Play Anywhere to developers. Most developers don't really have an issue with it. Square Enix, Square Enix and Microsoft had this, figurative battle online for the longest time, but now they're getting along really well, and most of their titles coming anywhere Play Anywhere. So, people clearly see value in this, and the ROG Xbox Ally that thing sold out in a lot of places within minutes. Right? There's clearly a market for this. And you wouldn't buy a device like that if you weren't going to have any games on it. There's clearly a big library there. By the way, when I posted about the device being sold out the other day, the amount of replies I got by people saying, hey, people bought this thinking it was going to be an Xbox native handheld. Do people legitimately think that people are going out there spending $1,000 without doing any research? Do people really think that? Because I do research when I change brands of cheese, right? Never mind a bloody £1,000 handheld PC device, right? So people can remove that nonsense. But look, if you've been gaming on Xbox for a long time, you have a big library. It's like Microsoft's first party output this year has been absolutely bloody crazy, right? In all those titles, Play Anywhere, right? So like this year alone, you have a lot of games to play. Next year is going to be crazy. The year after that's going to be crazy. Like Microsoft, despite what people say about them, their first party output is finally in the place now where we can say, chill, calm down, give us 5 minutes to finish these games, please. Right. So like if you get one of these like really cool ROG Xbox allies, you're good to go. You know you're gonna get a lot of different games. You know you're gonna get basically everything coming, right? You know, and I have seen comments lately about GTA. We all know GTA isn't going to be on Xbox. So we all know GTA is only going to be on Xbox and PlayStation, right? If GTA is Play Anywhere, when it eventually goes to PC, you're going to have it day one. If it's good to go via the cloud day one, you're going to be able to play that. But as of now, if you're buying £1,000 device and you're not doing any research, don't you kind of deserve to get a little bit screwed because of being so ignorant? Maybe that's just me. But look, people are going to be happy with Microsoft's like ongoing efforts in the handheld space. And like, look at all these people that are buying these devices. People are posting their receipts. They're excited to play games on the go. There's people I know that are buying these ROGs to just game on their couch, right? It's a slice of nostalgia. You know, I've been thinking like, do I need one? I would only play games in my game room. But then again, when I played on my Game Boy Advance back in the day, I played on the couch. Right? So like there's nostalgia there. There's people that have been wanting a portable Xbox since the original Xbox. I remember all the memes back in the day of the Xbox boy that used to go around on the forums. So like Microsoft are clearly paying attention to these efforts. Play Anywhere is clearly paying off because they've been pushing Play Anywhere since 2016, and a lot of people wondered why are they doing this. Clearly, now we do know why. Portable gaming's on the rise. It's probably the fastest growing market at the minute, and they're going to see a lot of success from it.
You're not wrong. But you know what? I want to add some additional context. Like people, we're talking, we're shooting the breeze here, and we're giving our opinions. And I think our opinions are valid based on what we know, and where we are when it comes to putting out content. But I got some bullet points here, folks. And all of this screams consumerism 101. So just a couple of key aspects to the importance of Xbox Play Anywhere. And again, this is where you have to put your consumer hat on, folks. Player convenience and freedom. Now, this program empowers players by offering the flexibility to play their games on any device that they find convenience in, right? PC, TV, handheld, your refrigerator, right? Wherever you've heard Sarah Bond say, wherever you want to play, we want to give you the ability to do so, right? So that's consumerism. This is a very interesting point. Single purchase, dual access. Now, the one thing, and again, this is not being slanderous. I have to bring a PlayStation for context. When you buy a game on PlayStation 5, you buy it on PlayStation 5. When that game is released on PC and you want to go play it on your PC, you must buy that game again, right? Now, yes, does every game that Xbox has out you get a dual access to? No. Are they working on making that a thing? They currently are. So the single purchase dual access thing with Play Anywhere is a really big deal because what it does is it gives you the Xbox version, it gives you the PC version, and you can play wherever you want. I think that's brilliant. I really do. I think that is one of the best parts of the program. But again, these are some bullet points that you can, we can talk about it another time. I don't want to spend too much time on it because there's a lot here. But expansion for the Xbox ecosystem is a big point that Phil Spencer has talked about. Seamless progression where it synchronizes your saves, that's a really big thing. So if you play on your TV, on your console, and you're going on a road trip, you should be able to just literally start up and go wherever you're going to go on your handheld. And you can do that with Xbox Play Anywhere. That's huge. Again, consumerism. Um, and this is an interesting one. And I kind of want to just get Jamie's hot take on this before we get everyone out of here. Market position against competitors. So, who are Microsoft's competitors? Well, pretty much everybody, right? Steam has its Steam Deck, and obviously Steam is where a lot of people buy their games. Most people play on Steam. Most people that you hear about that are PC centric don't even have an Xbox because they have a PC. And now and now they have a PC handheld, whichever one that may be, the Legion Go 2, whatever your flavor of the day is. But the market position against competitors is an interesting point because it goes on to say by pushing the Xbox Play Anywhere model, Xbox aims to differentiate itself and gain an advantage in the competitive landscape, particularly against platforms like PlayStation that have historically focused on traditional console centric models. And that's literally what I just said. Sony is so traditional that instead of embracing its consumers by giving them more, they give them less. You buy your game on PlayStation, they eventually release it on PC. Now, at some point, it was 2 years, and it went to 1 year, then it went to 6 months, and then it went to dual releasing, i.e., Helldivers 2. But if you bought Helldivers 2 on PlayStation, you're not going to be playing the PC version. I don't know if you would want to, but if you had a handheld, let's say, for instance, you'd be able to only play what you own. And that's ultimately a big problem. Nintendo is suspect number one. How many people in the chat have bought Super Mario Brothers 3 17 times? Because every time there's a new generation, they make you buy the old games again. They don't let you play with your library. That library evaporates, which is kind of crappy. So Nintendo is culprit number one. Sony, same thing. Like again, I think what Xbox is doing, Jamie, is really putting the customer first, and the fact that these dual release exists in this program is a really big thing. Now, I don't know if everyone is going to sign up for it. A perfect example is you made mention of Grand Theft Auto 6. Do I actually believe that 2K is going to give Xbox players dual access? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll take that bet and say no because it's 2K. They said something so outrageous the other day, and I don't actually think that it's that crazy. They said that they think they're going to sell 20 million copies of GTA 6 upon its release. That's insane. But they might, you know what? That might actually happen. There are people that have been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for this game. It's gonna break every record that's ever been before. It's gonna shatter every record. But it would be pretty incredible if the game did come out on PC and everyone that did buy it on console was able to play it via this program. Again, I don't know if it's possible. They love money, and that's why you're not getting a PC release initially. They're gonna wait a year. And they're going to then put it out, and everyone's going to go rebuy it again on PC for the better graphics and the 6090s you're going to be using at the time. But it would be pretty interesting. I want to get your final thoughts on this. Regarding like the dual entitlement. I think that's a really, really big deal, and I think that's the key aspect of what Microsoft is doing.
Yeah, you mentioned the Rockstar thing again. As I said, like it would be cool, like if you could, buy GTA on an Xbox and have it like on two different devices when it eventually makes its way to PC. It's Take-Two, it's 2K, it's probably not going to happen. Like they are a very stingy company when it comes to money, and
Indeed, they are.
look, they still haven't updated Red Dead Redemption 2, right? People are sitting and waiting. But when it comes to the whole dual entitlement thing, like, look, people can make fun of Microsoft about whatever, say that they cancel studio or cancel games and studios, whatever. Microsoft have been pushing pro consumerism for a very long time. Yes, they've raised the price of things, but I mean, that's a topic for another day, right? We don't have to we're not charged for upgrades for video games. We aren't, right? They promised us when we got our series consoles, you don't have to pay for upgrades. They follow through with that. We don't pay for upgrades. Dual entitlement. If you buy a game once, you own it everywhere. Oh well, everywhere that allows it. And like that's a great thing. Microsoft's been pushing that for years. And people wonder like why did they do this? I've seen podcasts and maybe you'll be able to guess which ones I'm talking about, but like they'll spend the entire time talking about how they're willing to spend, $150 on these single player games because they're AAA quality and how Game Pass is the worst thing ever. Yeah, you have Microsoft, they're doing these pro consumer moves such as Play Anywhere, right? And all these different features. And it's like no one talks about it. It gets pushed to the side, right? Whereas we get nickeled and dimed on a daily basis, and Microsoft is saying, "Hey, if you buy this on Xbox, you also own it on PC." It's a cool thing. There's literally, and I beg anyone to try and find a flaw with this. There's nothing bad about it when it comes to the consumer part, right? Nothing, right? It's pro consumer on every level. You will find people that will try and they will fail. Um, and like, look, if you started on Xbox like that last generation, at least, right, and you've been buying all these like first party games, or you've been subscribed to Game Pass, like you already have a built-in library on PC ready to go. So if you get one of these handhelds, you have games to play, right? Many first party games, I was going to say all first party games have Play Anywhere. A lot of titles that are added to Game Pass have Play Anywhere. So like nobody's really missing out on anything. You just have something to gain, right? There's nothing wrong with owning your library or these games on more than one device, right? I don't understand why people would try and push that, but I mean, dual entitlement, it's great, right? It goes alongside Microsoft's mantra. It's like, hey, play anywhere you want, right? Um, but yeah, that's all I have to say on it. It's like Microsoft, they keep pushing this and it's working. They've been
Yeah.
growing. Like, look, I've seen people, and this is a big problem. You've seen this as well, Boom. That people that don't follow Xbox or like they aren't part of the Xbox like fandom, or if they don't have Xbox as a preference, they know absolutely diddly squat about Xbox.
Yep.
Right? I've seen in the past month multiple people being surprised that these new third party AAA games that are getting Play Anywhere. They were surprised by it. Like, what is this the first AAA game to have Play Anywhere? It's like no, the video games have been having Play Anywhere since 2016, right? People that aren't in the Xbox like fandom or whatever, they know nothing about Xbox, literally nothing, and it shows. And Play Anywhere kind of exposed that, which is kind of funny. Um, you see people from IGN and stuff, they don't know anything about this at all. And like next time people see a big game announced or uh, anything like a major AAA third party game announced and it has Play Anywhere attached to it, look at IGN and GameSpot. They won't even mention it. Do you know why? Because they don't even know what it is. It's not in their knowledge because they don't care, right? Whereas if you are a fan of Xbox and you do cover Xbox, you know what these things are. Dual entitlement is a good thing. It's pro consumer. But some places won't report this because it's not in their forte. So
Well, they always say you can't spell ignorant without IGN, unfortunately. So, yeah, they are who we thought that they were. But, ladies and gentlemen, I want to catch up on super chats, and then I'm going to get me and Jamie out of here to continue our day. I'm already working on the rest of the week's show, and we got a new interview with Sarah Bond. We're going to be talking about tomorrow evening on Primetime Gaming, breaking down some big numbers for what Xbox Game Pass specifically is doing. But we have another super chat here from the very generous Nightwolf 3186. He goes on to say, after dropping an additional very generous $5 super chat, Nightwolf goes on to say, my list is this: Blinks the Time Sweeper, Chronicles of Riddick, EBB, Jet Set Radio Future, Crimson Skies, Advent Rising, Otogi, Myth of Demons, and Jade Empire. Yeah, those are all phenomenal picks. Actually, you know what? I think at one of the upcoming shows, maybe we'll do it on Thursday. Yeah, that's an Xbox specific show. We're gonna, we'll do an original topic picking your top 3 most requested remakes or revivals. Yeah, that'd be a fun topic to get into. We won't spend a lot of time on it, but we'll do that on Thursday. C Money is not going to be joining me on Thursday, so I'm reached out to Mav to see if Mav will join me and get him back on the on the wagon, so to speak. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. Big thank you to all of the super chats. The last couple of winners: Skywalker UAV, KC, and Ducato. Please reach out to me via DM, via Xbox Live, or again, go to the About page of the YouTube channel where you can see the business email and simply email me, and we'll get you your $25 gift card. And you know what? Congratulations to already the 7 winners. We were able to get their cards to them. And of course, to Skywalker UAV, KC, and Ducato. You are all winners of the $25 Xbox gift card. Jamie Moran, let's sell the brand, brother. You and Logan Meyer are going to be here this evening, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, you're going to probably have 12 to 15 different topics. And I would imagine some of the news that has come out today will be a part of that conversation. Please tell everyone where they can subscribe to the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel, follow you on social media, Jamie Moran, and more importantly, where to tune in this evening to hear the rants, if you will, of you and Logan Meyer.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. It's always a pleasure. So yeah, my YouTube channel is The Elusive Gamer. I exclusively cover Xbox. I try to cover Mass Effect whenever I get the chance. All Things Xbox podcast is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. We're a 2-hour show. At the minute, we have about 13 topics. We go through them quick. I like to call it a mullet style podcast where we have the short topics up front and the long topics in the back. We're going to be talking about all the BioWare and EA stuff, because if you're an EA fan, when it comes to Mass Effect and Dragon Age, we have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Indeed.
We're going to be talking about a bunch of Ubisoft stuff when it comes to the Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag remake. Tons of different topics. And I also have a video coming out tomorrow, which I hope people pay attention to. It's been in the making for a while, so I hope people love that. But yeah, 6 p.m. Eastern is All Things Xbox podcast on the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel, and my Twitter is Jamie Moran UK, where it's exclusively gaming and jokes.
Well, thank you for being a part of today's show. We super appreciate it. A big thank you to the near 500 people that tuned in. And of course, if you did enjoy the conversation that Jamie and I had today, please consider hitting the like button. If you are feeling extra generous, share this out on the socials. And if you're not already subscribed, folks, we are well on our way to 17K. And if you're not subscribed and you do subscribe today, you are helping us get to another big, massive goal for this YouTube channel. And of course, for Jamie Moran and myself, I want to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully one day will be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids, and would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.